The red and blue lights exploded in my rearview mirror like a warning I never asked for. My heart slammed against my ribs before I even registered the speedometer needle hovering just past 75. I eased onto the shoulder of Highway 101 just south of Santa Barbara, gravel crunching under tires like brittle bones. It was 11:47 on a Thursday night in early fall, the kind of quiet where every sound feels personal. I killed the engine and sat very still, hands visible on the wheel at 10 and 2. Years of caution had drilled that posture into me. The patrol car idled behind me, headlights blinding. No movement for what felt like forever. Then the door opened. Boots hit pavement. Slow, deliberate steps. The officer appeared at my window, tall, broad-shouldered, face half-shadowed by the brim of his hat. Late 20s maybe, jaw sharp enough to cut regret. His name tag read Harris. "Evening," he said, voice low and even. "License and registration." I reached slowly for the glove compartment. My fingers trembled once. Just once. He noticed. I could tell by the slight tilt of his head. "Problem?" he asked. "No, sir." My voice came out steadier than I felt. He took the documents, studied them longer than necessary. The beam of his flashlight swept across my face, lingered on my eyes, then dropped to the passenger seat where my gym bag sat unzipped, rainbow keychain glinting like an accusation. "You were doing 82 in a 75, he said finally. "Not much, but enough." "I'm sorry, officer. Long day. Wasn't paying attention." He didn't respond right away. Instead, he leaned closer, elbows resting on the window frame, close enough I could smell coffee and rain-damp leather. "You from around here, Mr. Ellis?" "Moved to Ventura last year. Work remote mostly." "Remote." He repeated the word like he was tasting it. "Must get lonely." The question hung between us, heavier than it should have been. I swallowed. "Sometimes." He straightened, glanced back at his cruiser, then back at me. Something flickered across his face, hesitation, maybe decision. "Step out of the vehicle." My stomach dropped. "Is there a problem?" "Just need to make sure everything's okay." Standard procedure. I opened the door carefully. The night air was cool against my skin. He stepped back, hand resting casually near his holster. Not threatening, but present. I stood with my hands loose at my sides. "Turn around." Hands on the hood. I complied. The metal was still warm from the engine. He patted me down quickly, professionally, no lingering. But when his hands reached my waist, they paused for half a second longer than protocol demanded. "You carrying anything I should know about?" he asked quietly. "No." He stepped back. "You can turn around." When I faced him again, his expression had changed. The professional mask cracked just enough to show something raw underneath. "You know why I really pulled you over?" he said. I shook my head. "Not the speed." He glanced down the empty highway, then back at me. "Saw the sticker on your bumper. The one with the rainbow flag and the thin blue line woven through it. Caught my eye." My throat tightened. "It's just a sticker. It's a statement." He removed his hat, ran a hand through short-cropped hair. "And it's dangerous." "Dangerous how?" "In this line of work?" "Very." He looked directly into my eyes. "People see that, they assume things. About loyalty. About whose side you're really on. Are you saying I shouldn't have it?" The words landed like stones in still water. Ripples spread outward. I started, then stopped. He didn't finish the sentence for me. Instead, he handed back my license and registration. "I'm giving you a warning tonight," he said. "No ticket. But slow down. And maybe think about what you're advertising." I nodded, numb. "Thank you, Officer Harris." "Evan," he corrected softly. "When the lights are off." He walked back to his cruiser without another word. I stood there watching his taillights disappear into the dark, pulse roaring in my ears. That should have been the end. A strange encounter. A near miss. But 2 nights later my phone buzzed at 1:14 a.m., unknown number. I almost ignored it. I didn't. The text was simple. "Coffee? Tomorrow. 8 a.m. Pier View Diner on Cabrillo. E." I stared at the screen until it dimmed, then typed back one word. Why? The reply came almost instantly. Because I couldn't stop thinking about that sticker. And the man driving the car. My thumb hovered. Every instinct screamed danger. Every other part of me whispered possibility. I went. The diner smelled of bacon grease and burnt coffee. He was already there, in a plain gray hoodie instead of the uniform, looking younger, more uncertain. He stood when I approached, gesture almost military. "Alex," he said, offering his hand. I shook it. His palm was warm, calloused. We sat in a booth near the back. The waitress poured coffee without asking and left us alone. He spoke first. "I don't do this." "Do what?" "Reach out." After a stop. He stared into his mug. "Never have." "Then why now?" "Because you looked at me like you saw past the badge." He met my eyes. "And I'm tired of pretending no one does." Silence stretched. I waited. "I've been on the force 6 years," he continued. "Grew up in a small town outside Fresno. Dad was sheriff. Mom taught Sunday school. You can imagine the rest." "Could." "I knew when I was 14, he said. "Told no one. Joined the academy at 21 because it felt like the safest place to hide." "Irony's a bitch. You're still hiding. Every damn day." He rubbed his jaw. "But that night seeing your car, that sticker, it felt like someone else was carrying the same weight. And I got angry. At myself. At the world. At you a little. Me? For being brave enough to put it on your bumper when I can't even say the words out loud to my own partner." The confession hung raw between us. "I'm not brave," I said. "I just got tired of apologizing for existing." He laughed once, short and bitter. "Lucky you. I'm still working on step 1. We talked for 2 hours. About nothing and everything. Favorite movies. Worst calls he'd ever worked. The way my voice shakes when I'm nervous, he noticed that too. When the waitress started giving us side-eye for hogging the table, he paid the bill and walked me to my car. In the parking lot, under sodium lights, he stopped. "I shouldn't have texted you," he said. "Then why did you?" "Because if I didn't, I'd spend the rest of my life wondering what would have happened if I had." I looked up at him. "And now I'm still wondering." He stepped closer. Not touching. Just close. "But at least I'm wondering with company." He didn't kiss me. Not then. But the air between us crackled with the promise of one. We exchanged numbers. Real ones this time. The next 3 weeks were stolen moments. Coffee at odd hours. Late-night walks on the beach when his shift ended. Texts at 3 a.m. that said only I'm off in 20. Meet me at the pier? I learned his routines. The way he rubbed the back of his neck when he was stressed. How his laugh sounded different. Freer when no one else was around. He learned mine too. The scar on my left wrist from a bike accident at 12. The way I flinch at sudden loud noises because of a bad breakup years ago. We never crossed the line into physical. Not yet. But every glance, every brush of fingers when passing a coffee cup, built pressure like a storm gathering strength. Then came the night everything cracked open. I was driving home from a client meeting in Santa Monica. Same stretch of 101. Same time of night. Lights appeared behind me again. My stomach lurched. It was him. He didn't pull me over this time. He just paced me for a mile, then flashed his high beams once, our signal. I took the next exit, wound through back roads to the empty lot behind the old lifeguard station. He parked beside me, killed the engine, got out. I met him halfway. "You're shaking," he said. "Habit." He reached out, hesitated, then cupped my face with both hands. Rough palms. Gentle pressure. "I can't keep doing this halfway," he whispered. "Then don't." His mouth crashed onto mine. The kiss tasted like coffee, salt air, and 6 years of silence finally breaking. We didn't talk about what came next. We just kept meeting. His apartment on the east side, small, neat, almost monastic. Mine downtown. Books everywhere. Plants dying slowly on the windowsill. We moved between them like thieves borrowing time. But secrets have weight. They press down until something gives. His partner noticed first. Detective Ramirez, sharp eyes, sharper tongue, started asking questions. Why Evan kept checking his phone during roll call. Why he seemed distracted on calls. Evan brushed it off. Bad sleep. Family stuff. Ramirez didn't buy it. Then came the bar. We'd agreed never to meet in public places where cops gathered. But one Friday he texted, "Rough shift. Need to see you. McKinley's on State Street. Back booth. 11. I shouldn't have gone. I did anyway." He was already there, nursing a beer, shoulders hunched. I slid in across from him. "You okay?" I asked. "No," he looked up, eyes red-rimmed. "We lost a kid today. Domestic call." Dad snapped. 14-year-old caught the bullet meant for his mom. Jesus. I held him until the paramedics got there. His voice cracked. He asked me if he was gonna die. I lied. Said no. I reached across the table, covered his hand with mine. He didn't pull away. That was when Ramirez walked in. He froze in the doorway, eyes narrowing as they landed on us. On our hands. Evan jerked back like he'd been burned. Ramirez crossed the room in 3 strides. "Harris," he said quietly. "Outside." Evan stood. I started to rise too. "Stay," Evan said, sharp, pleading. I sat. They stepped into the alley. I watched through the window, couldn't hear the words, but body language screamed. Ramirez gesturing wildly. Evan stone still, head down. When they came back inside, Ramirez didn't look at me, just spoke to Evan. "Captain wants to see you. Tomorrow. 0800. Evan nodded once. Ramirez left. Evan returned to the booth, sat heavily. "He saw," he said. "I know. He's gonna tell." "Maybe." Evan laughed hollowly. "No maybe. He's old school. Thinks being gay makes you weak. Compromised." "What are you going to do?" "I don't know." He looked at me then, really looked. "But I know I can't lose this. Not now." We left separately. Him first. Me 10 minutes later. That night I didn't sleep. The next morning my phone rang at 7:42. Evan's voice tight. "They suspended me. Pending investigation." "For what?" "Conduct unbecoming." Ramirez filed a report. Said I was fraternizing with a known associate who might compromise department integrity. "Known associate?" "You." He exhaled. "They ran your name. Found some old social media posts. Pride marches. Advocacy work." My blood went cold. "They're using me against you. They're using everything." A long pause. "I have to go in for formal questioning this afternoon." "Evan." "I'll call you later." He didn't. 2 days of silence. Then a knock at my door at midnight. Evan stood there in street clothes, duffel bag at his feet. "They put me on administrative leave," he said. "No badge. No gun. No answers." Pulled him inside. He collapsed onto the couch like his strings had been cut. "They asked if we were intimate," he said dully. "I told them it was none of their business." That didn't help. "No," he laughed without humor. "They showed me photos. Security cam from the diner parking lot. Us walking to our cars. Hands brushing. They're building a narrative." "What narrative?" "That I'm being blackmailed. Or coerced. Or that I'm using department resources to, I don't know, protect you. This bullshit, Alex. All of it." I sat beside him. "What do you want to do?" "Fight." His jaw clenched. "But I don't know how without dragging you through the mud too." "I can handle mud." "You shouldn't have to." We stayed up until dawn talking strategy. Lawyers. Union reps. Media if it came to that. But underneath the planning ran fear, sharp, metallic. The next week was hell. Anonymous calls to my work line. Heavy breathing. Slurs. My landlord received a concerned citizen letter suggesting I was associating with suspended officers. Neighbors started looking at me differently. Evan moved in temporarily. Safety in numbers, we told ourselves. But the pressure built. One evening he came home from meeting his attorney, face ashen. "They offered a deal," he said. "Resign quietly. No charges. Full pension vested. Walk away." And if you don't? Internal affairs hearing. Public. They'll subpoena you. Ask about our relationship under oath. My stomach twisted. What did you tell them? I told them I'd think about it. He looked at me. But I can't resign. If I do, they win. They prove we're the problem. That being who we are makes us unfit. Then fight. He nodded slowly. I will. But I need you to understand what that means. I do. No, he took my hands. You don't. Not yet. If this goes public, your name gets dragged. Your face. Your past. Everything. I'm not afraid. You should be. We argued for hours. He wanted to protect me. I wanted him to stop sacrificing himself. Voices rose. Tears came. Eventually we fell silent, holding each other on the living room floor like survivors after a shipwreck. The hearing was scheduled for 3 weeks later. We prepared. Statements. Witnesses. Evidence of harassment from within the department. But doubt crept in anyway. The night before the hearing, Evan couldn't sleep. He sat on the balcony staring at the city lights. I joined him. I keep thinking about that kid, he said quietly. The one who died in my arms. He looked at me like I could save him. And I couldn't. You tried. I always try. He turned to me. But maybe trying isn't enough anymore. It has to be. He kissed me then. Slow. Desperate. Like memorizing. I love you, he said against my mouth. First time either of us had said it. I love you too. We went inside. Closed the door on the world. The hearing room smelled of old coffee and bureaucracy. Wood paneling. American flag. Long table where 3 senior officers sat like judges at the end of days. Evan wore a suit. I sat in the gallery, heart hammering. Ramirez testified first. Clinical. Detached. Described seeing us together. Implied inappropriate influence. Never used the word gay. Didn't have to. Evan's attorney countered. Pointed out lack of evidence. No policy violations. No misconduct on duty. Then they called me. I walked to the front, swore the oath. Felt every eye on me. Mr. Ellis, the lead investigator began. Describe your relationship with Officer Harris. I looked at Evan. He gave the smallest nod. We're together, I said clearly. Romantically. For almost 4 months. A ripple moved through the room. And during that time, did Officer Harris ever share confidential information with you? Department procedures? Ongoing investigations? No. Did he ever use his position to benefit you personally? No. Did you ever feel coerced or pressured by him? Never. Questions continued. Sharp. Probing. I answered each one honestly. Calmly. When they tried to twist my words, I corrected them. By the end my hands were steady. Evan took the stand last. He spoke quietly. Honestly. Admitted he'd hidden who he was for years. Admitted the relationship. Admitted nothing illegal or unethical had occurred. I joined this department to protect people, he said. All people. Including the man I love. If that's unbecoming, then maybe the standard needs to change. Silence followed. The panel deliberated for 47 minutes. They returned. Suspension lifted. Reinstated with back pay. Formal reprimand for poor judgment in personal associations, but no termination. It wasn't perfect. It wasn't exoneration. But it was a crack in the wall. Afterward, in the hallway, Ramirez approached. I was wrong, he said gruffly. About a lot of things. Evan nodded once. Appreciate that. Ramirez glanced at me. You're braver than most. Then he walked away. We left the building together. Sunlight hit us hard after the dim hearing room. Evan stopped on the steps. I almost quit, he said. I know. But you made me remember why I stayed. We drove to the beach. Walked barefoot in the surf. No words needed. Months later the sticker on my bumper remained. So did the thin blue line running through it. And on Evan's truck now a matching one appeared. Small X. Loud defiance. We still argue. Still worry. Still love fiercely. But we no longer hide. Was it worth the cost? Or did the system win by forcing us to fight so hard just to exist? You decide.